Yo, I'm here with August. Tell me a little bit about yourself. How'd you get into the studio space? Introduce yourself for us.
My name is August Rigo. I'm a singer, songwriter, producer, and I saw this place on Facebook actually.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. It's acoustically treated, floating floors, room inside a room, isolated, and like you can't beat good acoustics, man.
But what is the biggest benefit from going from like a home studio to a professional studio? Do you make better music, or do you just have better connections because you have a studio that's outside of your home?
To be honest, I don't get a lot of people coming here. This is more my private workspace. I think just being able to, you can work anywhere, right? That's the thing about technology now. You can work anywhere, but critical listening, when it really comes down to it, actually getting like a nice mix. You can get lucky in your rooms, and if you learn your rooms, you can get good in it. I think that being in a room where you can trust off the bat, and then understanding your gear, just the environment helps to be more conducive to work.
Say if you have to move studios, right?
Yeah.
Different spot, different environment, hear different things, might mess up your, what you already learned.
Yeah.
So would you recommend carrying your gear from studio to studio so you're familiar with it?
I've always carried my studio in a bag. Like I always have a setup. I'm not worried about my listening environment when I go to another studio. There's always room to fix it. You know what I mean? And sometimes if it needs to go, you need to go. You need to make the best of what you have there. But I'm not carrying around speakers, or I'm not carrying around my preamps or anything.
Yeah, for sure. A technique that you learned recently and that dramatically changed your mixing game?
Mid-side.
Mid-side.
I learned about it in engineering school, but I never paid attention to it. And then for the last 10, 15 years, I didn't pay attention to it at all. I would press the button on the plugin sometimes and be like, cool, and just leave it. But understanding that, especially on master bus stuff, I never was a big master bus processing guy until I started really getting into mixing. But that mid-side is great because at the end of it, I find what I use it for is I like to keep my vocals bright and on top of things. And I tend to want to keep that energy in the vocal. When I'm on the mid-side, on the master bus, I can notch out, a little more annoying frequencies like the 2K, 3K-ish, sometimes even 5, without affecting the brightness of the overall track, like the width, because I'm pushing a little bit of maybe 15, 20K on the high end, on the outside. So I don't know if it's dramatically made things amazing, but it's definitely been like a tool that I use a lot now.
What steps do you take to make sure that all the elements of your mix are in key?
To be honest, that's just a natural thing, I think.
Oh, yeah?
When I'm building it, for example, more often than not, it's like a tom or like a kick drum, right? If there's no tone, then I'm not like taking the resonant frequencies and looking to see if it's in key or anything like that. I think a certain amount of dissonance, not maybe very audible dissonance, but somewhere in there, I think that natural kind of out of tune-ness. It's cool. It's cool in there, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not really worried about the tuning of those type of things.
Yeah. Sometimes, an instrument on its own sounds out of tune, but together it sounds great.
Yeah. For sure. Like if you start messing with like if you're on plugins like a Mellotron or something, or even something like this Moog, here's what I think about detuned stuff. I think if there's just got to be a balance. That's why chorus effect works so well, because it's weaving in and out of those detuned notes. But you're catching the tune, like the right in tune, like right in that balance.
What tools or techniques do you recommend for a well-balanced mix?
Aside from plugins, I think using your ears. I mean, it's a very, it's a classic thing, but just take a listen to it. It's hard to listen to something unbiased because I'm a vocalist, right? So Normally, my mixes, the vocals are really high, are really hot. So I think taking your own self as a creator out of it and listening to everything and making sure everything sounds the best it can sound.
You just said you're a vocalist.
Yeah.
What do you usually do to have a balanced mix and have your vocals stand out, like have them in front of your mix and still sound all compact together as one?
So a lot of like staged compression. So, you know, I do the 1176 into the LA2A thing. So I have one fast compressor that's kind of getting the transients, and then a slower one that's kind of even everything out. I think riding that fader is really key. I never used to do it, but now, like, you know, for the most part, the vocal will sit right on top. But sometimes you want to keep that same tone. You want more volume. So I think riding the fader is really key in making sure your vocal stays like right on top of that mix. Get your vocal kind of set, right? You're mixing it. You got your compression going, and then you hit the bridge. All of a sudden, your vocal's mad loud.
Yeah.
Right, but you love the tone you got on your vocal already. So you start messing around with the compression there, you're gonna mess with your tone.
Yeah.
Right. So instead, just ride the fader down.
Oh,
a little bit of automation. That's what I'm talking
yeah,
about.
yeah.
Right?
Cool. So let's say you want to keep the vocals leveled out throughout the entire mix, but there is something like a chorus. Is there any automation tricks that you use to kind of have your chorus vocals pop a little bit more while still kind of having the same volume?
Yes. So here's a good one. I use the Eventide 910.
Okay.
It's a UAD plugin. And when the chorus hits, I crank that up on the sends. So especially on the vocals specifically, I'll crank that up on the sends. So it's like, it's not really an audible thing. It's more of a feel thing. You start to feel it get a little bit wider in the chorus. So you don't get more volume, not pushing it, just starts to feel a little wider because the chorus is I'm hitting that chorus effect a little more.
All right. Do you stack vocals, let's say on one recording of yours?
Yeah.
Do you do multiple takes, or do you have any preferences when it comes to recording vocals?
So when I'm doing vocals, I'll stack usually the choruses, right? Aside from the highlights, when I'm stacking a chorus, I'll do 2 or 4 of the melody, depending on how big I want it to sound. 2 most of the time, 4 if I'm feeling high, you know? And then for every harmony, I'm doing 2 as well. So
nice.
Whatever. If I'm doing like a 3-part harmony, then what is that? 4, 6, 8, 10 vocals? Yeah. So yeah, 4 main, 2 on the harmonies.
Why do you think the best beats that get sold are usually have the most less time spent on?
Okay. I think because they're open. You know, there's room for the interpretation, right? So those beats that get sold, they're like, oh, yo, this is crazy, I'm taking that. It's because the artist was able to hear himself on it.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Some things sound amazing, but there's just so much going on that you can't, there's no space for you.
Yeah.
Right? Those simple beats that took like 20 minutes to do, 5 minutes to do, there's not a lot going on, obviously, because there wasn't a lot of time to put a bunch of stuff in there. So I think that's why those simple ones, the artist is able to hear themselves on it.
So when you're making a beat for an artist in mind, how do you balance out not to do too little and not to do too much?
I think it's a judgment call. You know, some genres call for a lot of things. You know, some genres don't. It's just like a case by case basis, and I think that comes down to experience and taste. You know, some people off the bat just got amazing taste.
Yeah.
You know, like some producers, like I've met some kids that just, you know, you got good taste.
Yeah.
You've got good taste. You can't teach taste. Right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. The most complex things are the simplest to digest. You know what I mean? That's the balance to get something complex to sound so simple.
The hardest thing to do.
It's
sometimes.
the hardest thing to do. Like there's Devante. Do you know who Devante is?
I think so.
So Jodeci was a group, early 90s, mid 90s. Jodeci was an R&B group. And their production was incredible. Stands up to anything today. And Devante was the producer of those records. And Devontae's camp was Timbaland, Missy. Like those are the people that he taught how to produce.
Dope, dope.
So Devontae is like the godfather of all this. If you listen to his beats, they sound like, very simple. Like if you listen to the songs, but once you dissect them, they are so complex.
If you're allowed to keep one piece of hardware, what would it be?
Ooh. No mics, not mics, just hardware.
Just hardware, analog.
I want to say a 1073. I do. So I'm going to say it. 1073.
Why is that?
For a long time, I was pining for a 1070. Like I wanted to get that. Like I always thought, I can get it with something else. I can get it with something else. And then I got one, and it's not even like a full one. It's a 500 series one. But in having one and playing with it, it just emits the sound that I want. The tone that I know of to be a good vocal tone that is associated in my brain. That's what that gives me. Mm-hmm. So, and I could get it from it could be the way it looks and how I'm perceiving it, but I'm a vocalist first, and so if I need my vocals to sound proper, I want the 1073.
100%. All right, tell us about your vocal chain. What are you stacking?
Going in?
Yeah.
Okay. This one. So I know my voice. I know my voice extremely well, obviously. So I do a lot when I'm cutting my own self going in. So I actually added another step. So I'm going 1073. It sounds like a lot, but it's only doing a little bit. So 1073, 1176.
Okay.
1176 going into the retro double wide. So on the 1176, I'm only getting like 1 dB, 2 dB, and really catching fast transients, really, really quick, and a quick release. So it's just like catching the transients. This is a little slower. The double wide I set a little slower to kind of even out the vocal, get it nice and thick. Then I'm going from the double wide to the API 550.
Jeez.
I notch out a little bit of 5K. I add in a little bit of 12. I do all this because I know what I'm going to do inside the box immediately. Yeah. So I'm just doing it off the rip here. So I have less to do in there. And then after that, I'm going to a 2264 for another like maybe 1 dB, 2 dB of gain reduction.
That's dope.
And really that's just for more tone. Like that's just for more tone.
So if a new artist comes in that you haven't heard before, he's a good singer or whatever, are you taking him through the same type of process, or are you trying something totally different?
No. So a new artist, you're coming in, I'm going to cut your vocal. I'm going 1073 into either the retro double wide. I'm doing 1073 retro double wide and right in, or 6176, so 610 to the 1176 and in. Because I don't know the vocal that well, I want some more room to play with, obviously.
Yeah.
So I'll keep it pretty flat for them. I just know what I'm going to do in there, so I'm just making less work for myself.
Nice. Yeah. There's a lot of whisper about what's better, Melodyne or Autotune. Mm. Do you have any opinion on that at all?
I think Autotune is great because it's quick, set it, forget it. If you have an amazing singer, Autotune does wonders because you can preserve the performance. Mm-hmm. Melodyne, I find when I have a singer that's not, that's having trouble, it helps. It helps for the vocal to sound more natural, if you want that, right? And it's different strokes for different folks, right? Some people, I love the sound of Autotune. Like I like that. It's pleasing to me. So,
Yeah.
I'd prefer to use Autotune because it's quicker than like going through everything. So if I have a good singer, I'll throw some Autotune on there. Yeah.
What's your technique on mixing kicks and 808s together?
If I'm not having too much trouble, my first thing to do is to take the attack off the 808.
Okay.
Right. So I'm kind of if it's like being triggered by a sampler or something, so I'll soften the attack a bit. If it's an 808 like sample that I've dropped in, then I'll fade it. I'll fade it out. So I use the kick as like the kind of the transient. Yeah. Then the 808 just for the bottom end for the boom. If that's not working, then I'll sidechain.
Yeah.
I'll sidechain the kick to the because if I want that if the 808s aren't always hitting at the same time as the kick, then I'll sidechain the kick to the 808 so that
Yeah.
whenever the kick and the 808 hits, it's taking it down like a couple of dB.
What are you doing on the EQ for kick and the 808? Anything?
You know what? I don't do much on the EQ. I just pick the right one.
Yeah,
Pick the one that
Choose
fits.
the right
Yeah,
sound.
if I have to do too much EQing on my drum sounds, because I don't do a lot of live drum recording. So if I got to do too much EQing, I'm using the wrong sound. But think about it, man. Like we have a plethora of samples that are at our disposal now.
100%.
So that kick is there. The one that you want, it's there. It's probably the one you used last night. I know we get into the habit of like picking, I want this kick, this kick, this kick. At the end of the day, the one that works is the one that you want. And that's like, I have kicks that I always use. Even if I want something different, I'm throwing that kick in there, and kind of like mixing it in there.
And it gives you like a signature, because
Yeah.
you're sticking to the same type of things.
It also gives you some comfort. You know how that kick is gonna knock in the car. Like, that's the kick. So, if anything else is just like, okay, if I want, maybe I want some more air, or maybe I want it longer, then I'll find something that can do that. But for that initial knock, usually, there's a kick for that.
Well, speaking of signatures, do you have a signature when you're mixing? Do you try to give a little bit of your thing throughout all your mixes?
I'm very heavy on the vocals. I really want so I think anybody that's ever worked with me knows that. So I try to, and I've been working on it. So I'm trying to get like the most beautiful vocals that your vocals are always going to sound top notch.
Let's talk about your credits. You got credits with Chrisbrown, BTS, Justin Bieber, One Direction. How do you get credits like that? How do you navigate to get anything close like this?
Luck, a lot of luck, a lot of perseverance. I started this, almost 20 years ago, right? I used to stand outside of record labels in New York and just hand out CDs. So that's how I got discovered. Versus, we didn't have the YouTubes and like the Instagram. So, yeah, a lot of like just and then networking, maintaining relationships, being a genuinely good person, will open a lot of doors for sure. And yeah, I just try to write high quality stuff all the time. I really care about every step of the way. From like the first line to the last one, and yeah, that's the short story of how I got there.
Cool. So tell me a little bit more about your credits with Chrisbrown.
I wrote a couple of songs for him. One called "Tough Love," and then the other one, the most popular one I did for him is called "Back to Sleep." So that one went #1, I think, urban. R&B, on the R&B charts, and it got quite a bit of radio play.
So wait, so you wrote lyrics for him?
Yeah, I wrote the lyrics and the melody.
Oh, wow.
So beat came from Boy Wonder, and he sent it to me, and I tell the story all the time, but he sent it to me. I had just moved back home because I went broke in LA. So I just moved back home, and I was in my parents' basement, my old studio, and that was the first song that I wrote when I moved back home.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You think your circumstance had anything to do with writing something beautiful like that?
I think I just caught a vibe. Caught a vibe. I was comfortable. I was back in my old place. Yeah. So, and I mean the beat. The beat just hit. I mean, it was inspiring. Once you hear something, that's one of those simple ones where it's just like it was open and I could hear myself.
So all right, so take us through the steps. So to get I don't know, a placement with somebody like Chrisbrown.
Yeah.
You made a beat. You don't have a direct connection with Chrisbrown. How is that happening?
I did have a direct connection though. I sent the song to his A&R or his manager.
Cool.
One of his A&R or his manager. But I mean, if the question is how to get into this, I think right now, I think Instagram and TikTok is your best way at exposure, obviously,
You see all those beats where like, hey, who can rap on this? Or like, I don't know, Drake can totally kill this beat or stuff like that, just tagging them.
Yeah, and I mean, I think more than just tagging them is actually creating music, doing some stuff, putting it out, showing people that like, this is now your resume. This is what I can do, right? Yeah. So that when because you're inevitably going to meet somebody in the music industry. What do you do? Check it out here. This is what I do. And if they're interested, they'll look at it. They'll listen, right? And you know, so when you walk in a room, be confident about it. Yo, check it out. Check out my stuff. And people like, you know, you have to, you got to navigate that. And but if you have a good resume of stuff there, everybody's looking for a good song.
Cool. So for somebody who doesn't have a lot of following, who's a little bit unknown, wants to build his portfolio, and obviously probably wants, you know, a little bit of a bigger artist, how do you suggest they reach out? Do you suggest that they offer, let's say, mixing for free? You know what I mean? Free beats. Obviously, you still need to make money here and there, right? So how do you approach that? Do you just offer your work just to build that portfolio, or what would you do?
So I'm a big proprietor of doing the shit for free. Sorry, I don't know if you're allowed to swear.
Yeah, it's fine. Swear.
Yeah, like
We'll beep you out.
yeah, go do it for free. Do it as many things as you can, especially if you're coming up. And here's my advice: you need two jobs all the time, one to pay your dues and one to pay your bills. Yo, if you gotta work double, you gotta work double. But just do it if that's what you want. If you want this, then you got to do that.
Tell us about your credits with Justin Bieber. How did that come around?
All right, so this is good. So this is Justin Bieber changed my life, right? This situation changed my life. So I was working under the Trackmasters. I don't know if you know who they are. They're a production crew, 90s to 2000s. They were top, Will Smith, Mariah Carey, Nas. I wanted to start to shine as a songwriter, so I started just asking my manager, who was their same manager. Like I was like, yo, you should start pushing me. I mean, I wrote a song a day for a year and a half. A day for a year and a half. Like no lie, not even Christmas. I didn't take Christmas or New Year's off. I wrote a song a day, no matter what. If it was bad or good, I made sure I wrote a song a day because I wanted to prove to these guys that I'm good.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't good at the time, by song 365, after that, I'm getting
You're
pretty
gonna get
good.
somewhere. Yeah.
I'm getting better, right?
For sure.
I wrote a song a day for a year and a half. After kind of like really trying to prove myself, I got good. Like I got really good. And I also, after doing this so much, I got confident. They started taking me around to like other producers to work. And, they were, really in the industry. So I started working with Stargate. Started working with J.R. Rodham, Stereotypes, Jerry Wonda, and then one of these sessions, I'm working with Jerry Wonda, and I write this song called "You Smile," and they were like, "Yo, this song sounds like a hit," and my manager at the time sent it, I think, to L.A. Reid, and L.A. Reid heard it, and the rest was history. So I ended up writing two more on that same album for Bieber. And yeah, I went from like nothing, nobody knowing me, to like, I guess one of the top songwriters in the game at the time.
So how was that? So does Justin Bieber reach out to you, be like, yo, respect?
I mean, I spent some time with Justin back then. He was still young. He was like 15 when we did those records, right? And I saw him a couple times. I haven't seen him in a few years though.
Cool. So obviously, when you're, let's say, working on the beat, you get some, royalties, some percentage. How do you get credits for writing vocals for somebody? How's that?
So think of a song as two halves, as two halves, right? Music, like the instrumental, like the beat, and then the lyrics and melody. So that makes up the 100% pie. So I'm making money off of the publishing, off of the songwriting, because I'm a songwriter on the song.
Tell us about your credits with One Direction. How did that come around?
So I was in London. I was writing for another group, actually. I was writing with this producer, Steve Mack, for another group. And One Direction just happened to be on X Factor at the time. And I think we were sitting in the room, and he was like, if this group, I don't remember what the group was. I can't remember. Like, if this group doesn't take it, I'm going to give this to these boys from the group, from the show. I was like, oh, he's like, well, I'm going to give it to One Direction. I was like, who's One Direction?
Yeah.
Then the other group didn't take the song, so he recorded the song on One Direction, and it went really good, man. I mean, that's one of my favorite songs to date of that I placed, because it was it feels big, it feels anthemic.
Yeah. All these songs that you wrote for Justin Bieber, Chrisbrown, you wrote them without actually thinking that they're gonna get it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So do you think there is a little pattern of that, of something becoming good? Because I feel like if you're knowingly writing for Justin Bieber or Chris Brown, you're pressured not to mess it up, and that might give you some tension.
Yeah, I think when you start aiming songs at people, you start trying to think about what they would say or how they would sing it or what they would do. They do that already.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? That's their thing. What you want to be doing is adding to what their flavor is, you know? And you don't know what's going to work. So I think just kind of writing a good song, like just writing something good so that they can impart their swagger onto it, their character onto it, is the best way to do it. I think that's why when you're like, those great songs happen when you're not thinking about it, because there's something natural about it that comes out. So yeah, I think that's why, because you're just not thinking, you're just doing.
Obviously, to get a placement on the beat, you post the beat, it plays, somebody hears it, you get a placement, luckily, right?
Yeah.
How do you get a placement as a songwriter? Like, you can't really post, you can post lyrics, but...
Yeah. So I would say one of two things. You can just play it yourself, right? Play something, learn how to make beats. If not, there's a bunch of you can get some type beats off of YouTube. Splice has like 4-bar loops of guitars and pianos, like anything you need. Basically, every resource is out there for you now. That you can make it. So if you're a lyricist and you don't have beats to put your lyrics on, guess what? For $9.99 a month, you can find somewhere to get it, or you can rip it off of YouTube. You know, and I think that's a good way to practice, is writing songs on like whatever beats you can get. And then short of that, you know, there's a lot of producers online that want songs written to their beats. That collaboration is great because your network may be small and their network is maybe small, but now there's two of you working this song, right? Now there's two people's energies behind this song. And that's kind of how that works. You know, you build with somebody, build a chemistry, start showing these records to people like, oh, these guys are doing something great.
Yeah. A lot of connection.
Yeah.
Like a lot of don't be afraid to go out, meet people.
Yeah. And just keep doing it and keep pushing and keep pushing the envelope. And not everything happens in your time, right? Not everything happens in your time, but it happens.
Yeah.
You know, you just got to be there when it does.
For sure. Yeah. Have you ever had situations where you had the opportunity, but you weren't prepared? I don't know, your hard drive or something gave out on you. You couldn't show, have you ever had an opportunity that slipped away? Is a better question.
Tons of opportunities that slipped away. Tons.
But they're like give us one, like a huge placement that you had, and what happened that you missed it?
I mean, not even a placement, more of like opportunities that would have, beget better relationships with the person. Like, for example, I mean, there was many a time where back when I started that, I'd be in studios with, you name it, the producer, and it's easy to just go over and say, hi, I'm this person, but you just don't, because you're scared or you're nervous, or just kind of like whatever, just it'll happen again. There's a lot of those. And then like Justin used to call me to like, hey, you should come over here, come to this studio, and you're like, nah, I'm too busy.
How could you for Justin Bieber? All right, cool.
But I mean,
it is what it is.
No, you're just not like, I'm working on something here. And there's certain things, and I wasn't doing it because I didn't want to hang out. I was like, I'm just busy right now. But the priority should have been to like nourish this relationship, because I was writing songs for him, with him, and I think nurturing those relationships are just as important as getting the job done. Now, anyways.
Yeah. Working with somebody like Justin Bieber or Chrisbrown, is it more difficult than, let's say, a less famous artist?
Oh, I think, the easy answer is yeah, because you don't have to do nothing. Really. You know, when you write a song for like a Chrisbrown or a Justin Bieber, you know, once it gets sent off, usually, you know, they have their team of people.
Yeah.
You know, you could be there when they're recording it, but they, you know, they have the guy that records Justin, they have the guy that vocal produces Chrisbrown or his engineer, you know. So a lot of it is, you know, getting, once it's there, it's almost at the finish line.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're, you know, working with an up-and-coming artist, you know, depending on their skill level, depending on how popular they are, you know, what their finances are, you're doing a lot more.
Yeah.
You're cutting it, you're mixing it, you're tuning it. Yeah, so working with the major artists, a lot of the times it's, you know, getting it to them. That's the battle.
Cool. Yeah. All right. What's your process on mixing? Do you start with your cubes, then to speakers and headphones? How do you switch it up? How do you know when to switch it up?
So I'm usually mixing as I'm creating, right? So I'm always on the ATCs. I'm just off the rip, I'm on the ATCs. I use the mix cubes just to get my vocal balance, to see if because I have problems with my vocals being too loud. So the mix cubes usually tell me if my vocals are too loud, because they immediately, if it's like a couple dB too loud, as soon as I hit the mix cubes, they're right there. So the mix cubes only really happen towards the end when I'm cleaning it up. Usually I'm on the ATCs.
Cool. If there is a billboard that only producers could see when they're driving, what would be one message you put on there? For producers.
For producers? Oh man, that's a good one. If there was a billboard out there that I could put up for producers.
Do epic shit.
Do epic shit. Yeah, that's a good one, right?
That's dope.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something like it doesn't need another hi-hat.
It doesn't need another. All right. Do you have any favorite plugins for mixing vocals? What are your go-tos right away?
Fab Filter.
Cool.
I'm using that for
Q3, right?
Yeah, Q3. Sorry, yeah. Fab Filter Q3. Notching out like offensive frequencies. You know, usually notching out boxiness and like in the 300, 250, 350 area, and then maybe a little bit of 2K on that one. Oh, then probably hitting like an 1176-ish type compressor for more transients, like hitting transients. De-esser, name it, whatever. I change them sometimes, but I'm using right now Nectar.
Okay.
I use the de-esser on Nectar because I like the way it looks. It's easy for me to read. So yeah, Isotope Nectar. Pultec EQ to bring back some high... Oh, your card.
Lyrics-wise, what makes a good song?
I think a concept. And the song should have connective tissue throughout the whole thing, you know. So from your first line coming into your chorus, I feel like the great songs, your verses kind of lead you into that chorus. You know, they may take some like, you know, a couple turns here, but it's leading you there. So there's like connective tissue that threads you into that chorus. So that chorus becomes a punchline.
Cool.
You know, it feels like a punch. That's what I do anyways when I'm writing a song. Sometimes you're just writing some stuff for fun, but it still has to have that connectiveness that gets you to that chorus, that punchline.
Dope. For somebody who wants to become a songwriter, what's your advice on improving their skills as a songwriter?
Listen to the best songs, man. Listen to hit songs, because there is a formula. There is a formula that's proven, that's there. You can hear it. But yeah, I think listen to songs that you want to write songs like. I think that's it. You know, hit songs or not hit songs, you should listen to the songs that you like and understand why you like those songs, so that when you go in to write those songs, you have that point of reference. Sponsored by Timmy's.
That's for sure. That's gonna go in, bro, for sure.
Every night,
bro. What's your process on writing a song? How do you start? How do you think of an idea? You lay down lyrics, or you just start dropping down lyrics and see where it goes?
I like having a concept in mind first. Like I like having like a solid. This is a guy pining for his woman. You know, I like to have that concept in mind so that I know where to start. Once I have a starting point and in a fully kind of fleshed out concept of what it is, then it makes it easier for me to kind of figure out the lyrics. that's the hardest part, I think, for me. I like to have a concept. If I don't have a concept, if I don't have something inspiring, it becomes very difficult for me to write the song. But as soon as I have a concept and something that's inspiring to me, then the lyrics kind of just come out.
When you're writing a song a day for over a year, what are some mistakes you learned not to make?
Over singing, like sometimes you're doing too much because you're overcompensating for something else, right? So I think that's like, I learned that less is more sometimes. Sometimes more is more, but less is more a lot of the times. Get to the chorus immediately, as fast as you can. L.A. Reid told me that one day. I wrote a song, and he's like, this is great. And he pulled me aside, he goes, I'm going to tell you something that old guys used to tell me, don't bore us before the chorus. So, yeah. And just, you learn what you like. You learn what works, Oh, yeah, they love that song. I know what I did there, And I had, like, a good case study because there's fucking 300 songs to choose from there.
Yeah.
Right?
So from writing songs every day for over a year, what is one lesson you've learned, like, in doing that? Why write a song every day for a year?
Because that's how you get good, man. That's how you get good. It's like a muscle, It's like basketball. You keep shooting, right? You keep shooting, and that muscle gets stronger and stronger, and that 1% turns into 2%, then 50%, and it's the same with songs, right? You write 10 songs, maybe one of them are good, right? Or one of them are okay. You write, the more you write, the better that ratio gets. So now I'd like to say every song I write is at least good. There's good, and then there's brilliant. Brilliant is what I'm always striving for, but you very rarely get there. You get better, good, better, but you're always striving for brilliance. But now, at least on a base level, writing 365 songs, writing a song a day for a year, got me closer to that point of like, yo, I'm always gonna write a good song.
At what point do you know if you're a good songwriter?
That's a tough one, man. I think that's impossible without letting other people hear your songs, right? So I think there's probably a lot of amazing songwriters out there that we don't know because we've never heard their stuff. So it's hard to say, but I think if you're listening to your songs properly, and you have to get a lot of self-awareness, but because when you write a song, that's your baby, so you get really attached to it, especially when you're in the early stages. I think it takes time to get to the point where you're like, okay, this is a really good song. Maybe when you start making money off of it.
Cool. Yeah. Have you ever been in a spot where you wrote a song for yourself, and then as you finished it, you look at it and you're like, this is not me. I got to give it up to somebody else. And then you go out of your way and look for that artist.
No, but I have come across the write a song for myself, and it ends up just going to somebody else. I'm never looking for an artist to record my songs, But I find the best songs I write are the ones for myself. Like You Smile, Back to Sleep, even the One Direction song, Gotta Be You. Even though I was in sessions writing for other people, I was writing them from my own perspective. I was writing them as if I was going to be singing them. That ownership of it, that initial ownership of it, made me want to make the song special. It made me, I don't know, maybe inspired me to sing the lyrics that I sang that day.
Cool. What advice would you give your younger self?
I thought about this the other day, I did. And, enjoy this, bro. Enjoy this. Wherever you're at right now, younger self, enjoy it. Don't think about the song you got to write tomorrow. Don't think about the bills you got to pay. Don't think about none of that. Enjoy, sit in the moments that you have right now, because, I can think about it. I think about all the things that I did in the past, and I'm like, man, I didn't enjoy it the way I should have, So my younger self, just absorb those surroundings, man. Enjoy yourself. Because I was in a lot of fucking really nice studios too.
100%.
And I never like that was another thing I thought about because I was thinking about gear. I was like, damn man, like real Fairchilds, you know, not like remade, like reissues, like real vintage Fairchilds. I was on vintage mics and like, you know, just didn't care.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't care, but
In that moment.
yeah, in that moment I didn't care, but
Yeah.
you know, if I wish I had the foresight to be like, yo, let me just absorb this and absorb this, you know. Yeah, enjoy yourself, man.
Cool.
Be present.
Well, that's it. Thank you.
My G.
How good. Yeah, bro. That's dope.